Well, tonight's topic was going to be coal hauling. Time is currently 6:58 p.m. and I'm going to give this about 15 minutes, and nobody shows up. I'm just going to end the stream. For future reference, if anybody's wondering, curious of whereabouts I live, where that little gold dot is, and right where, of course, it's going to goof. Right where it says Norfolk, that's where Norfolk Southern's coal Pier 6 is. Which I will zoom in. This is actually also known as Lambert's Point. This will give you an idea on just the scale of the facility. That's Norfolk Southern one. I'm actually closer to the former C&O coal dump, coal pier, which, as you can see, has changed names. And the derailment that happened recently happened right in that vicinity. I was there the day after the derailment happened. That's the empty side of the receiving yard. That's the inbound side. Which that's all, ironically, that's also where, not too far down the track, where Amtrak station is. And well, what a few people realize, there's actually 2 yards there. There's the Newport News Amtrak terminal, which it's kind of an odd setup the way they have to wide the train. You have to take an Amtrak engine all the way from here down here to underneath out where the highway goes underneath. There's a Y there. That's where they turn the trains around, the Amtraks around. This is just less than 12 miles from my house, where I'm living at with my mom. There's the Dominion Coal Terminal, aka the former Chesapeake and Ohio coal piers. As you can see, they're still active. Which, ironically, across the bay is Lambert's Point Yard. This is one of the multiple destinations that the coal that was mined here in Virginia ended up. You had power plants, steel mills, which also covered a different type of steel handling material known as ferromanganese that was mined, hauled and processed up in, let me see if I can find Lynchburg on here. Lynchburg's still a pretty big industrial city. I've actually rode the 611 from Lynchburg on the old N&W all the way to Petersburg along the original right-of-way. Which I'll tell you this much. You want to ride? That's a haul. The section I actually rode into was a part of one of the older, of course, darn GPS is going to take 5 minutes to update, which is, I'm going to show you, what I'm getting ready to show you now is the original Norfolk and Western Yard for Petersburg, what's left of it. Right there is the original station for the city of Petersburg. Tiny little platform. But what they ended up doing a few years later is they ended up moving the whole thing, the yard and everything else, a few miles away, which just also goes through a battlefield. And if you've seen the videos of the wheel spin out on 611 during the last trips it made through here, there's the Y. Right there is where she stalled out. You can understand why that big of an engine making that sharp of a turn. Yeah. I don't know what NS was thinking on that one. But I chased it all the way back, well, from Petersburg, well, Lynchburg to Petersburg and back last year. And that's on the relocated NS line / Virginian line. Little known fact that the Virginian also ran through Petersburg. Which the funny thing is, a couple of their engines are actually scrapped up in Richmond, not far from where the NRHS chapter I'm with has our museum. So I want to scroll up there because there's actually a little known fact of that area. Okay. There was actually a coal pier in Richmond also. Across the river is Rocket's Landing, one of the most prime pieces of real estate in Virginia's history, or currently in central Virginia. Right where this is at, Anchor's Landing, is where the Chesapeake Gravity Railroad transported coal to, which the company who owned the Chesapeake Gravity Railroad was the Mid-Lothian Mines, hence where Midlothian, Virginia got its name. Which the funny thing is, the right-of-way is partially on what's currently running today. Because US Route 60, coming from Midlothian to downtown to what then was known as Manchester, Virginia, is where the line ran. Although it has changed over the years. And right there was the actual mine head. Come on, see if I can zoom in a little bit better to give you guys a better idea. Okay, there's the actual mine head. This dates back to early 1766. All wooden carts, which all the tunnels and everything underground is still intact. It's just flooded. My NRHS chapter was able to salvage one of the axles from around the site before it was closed down because of safety reasons. Because do most people realize that's a 12 by 12 opening. Let me see if I can. Actually, you can see the ties in the picture on how it would ran out of there. But this is not no small structure by any means. That was one of the earliest coal mines here in the state of Virginia. Which is a little known fact. It may not seem like it, but in most locations in that area, less than 10 feet down was coal. That's how shallow the coal seam is. It's soft bituminous coal, which is what Norfolk and Western was famous for. But those coal fields were much further west. And a little known fact, from Roanoke, Virginia, if you follow Highway 81 south, go past the famous Christiansburg grade, still active. All the way down to Bluefield, which I'll state for the record, if you haven't had a chance to go and see Bluefield, do it. It's a beautiful city. And the little town that Norfolk and Western was famous for their Mikados, right there, still in Virginia. Right where my mother was staying for a better part of a month, 3 weeks. Bristol, Virginia / Tennessee. Which a little known fact, a lot of people don't realize, right where this I'm showing right now, it's also where the original Interstate Railroad, which was actually not a true interstate railroad, it was a regional railroad that was based in Wise County, Virginia. That's where the whole thing was based in that, basically within that vicinity. I got a whole article on how they transported coal from this little town down to the river, which they interchanged with Southern L&N, which a lot of people didn't know was a coal hauler. I'm trying to think of all of them. Norfolk and Western, Clinchfield, pretty much all your bigwigs coal hauling, which Clinchfield Railroad was another coal hauler, as we all know. There was like a dozen different little branch lines that came up out of there. Ooh, I did pass out. Whoops. The funny thing is, with the actual city of Bluefield, it's like a time capsule. Come on, load, you darn connection. There's actually a couple structures in this aerial photo that still are around from the steam era. That's still the original Malay House / Lubritorium that Norfolk and Western used. This is also the Pocahontas sub. And I forget, because Pocahontas sub is a little bit further east of here where it's split. There's this famous footage where the lines did this number, Y, which a little known fact, the Pennsylvania Railroad had a majority interest in Norfolk and Western, hence why they use colored position signals. I think it was like here it is. The Pocahontas sub, and I forget the name of the other one. This is where they split, which is now also the Heartland Corridor. This side here, they've actually extended the height of the tunnels to allow double stacks to run through here. So this is big steam territory. Partly where I actually got my interest for the Malays. But that was a little known fact that people didn't realize. Because if I can get in the street view here, it's actually kind of funny. The scene has not changed at all. This will give you an idea of just how the area looks today. The original structures are still standing. Everything is just a little bit different. Including churches that are still standing. I've been there. Which, another relic from the steam era, which is one of the coal dumps down at the Chesapeake and Ohio yard, which is now the current day CSX Newport News Terminal. I rail fanned at this facility. It's still a hell of a scene today. In fact, right here along Roanoke Street, if you go there and rail fan, you can still see the foundations of the original structures from back when Norfolk and Western still ran coal up until the 1950s. Or ran steam. Which the yard, well, most people realize, was never really that big. It was only a 6-track yard. But it was a division point where trains going to Norfolk would have picked up a fresh crew. In some cases, if the engine ran over 600 miles, which was the NW service mandate, it would be uncoupled from the train and put a new engine, put on new crew and new caboose, because back then cabooses were assigned to specific crews. So what they did is, okay, engine number XYZ was done with its 600-mile run between servicings. So they would uncouple it, take it over to Lubritorium, and the other engine, which was freshly shopped and lubed, would be coupled on in its place after the train was inspected. A caboose would be tacked on with its crew, with the crew that was assigned to it, and the conductor was assigned to it, and they'd head on down the line. It was the seniority system. It's funny how when I went there, I was able to learn all this. Which little most people realize, that is one hell of a yard, even today, by today's standards. And there's actually a junction not far from there that I'm currently trying to find that railfan dad. Okay, here it is. No, it wasn't. It's one of the most unique interchanges here in Virginia. Because in that scene, for about a 10-mile stretch, the two lines parallel each other and eventually end up crossing this configuration. One's up at a higher elevation, the other, and then they have two opposing grades coming down. If you guys get a chance, check out Ralph Greenwood's channel. He just posted a new video on the car barn. Not sure, but I may have found it. What I'm looking for is a connect point where Norfolk and Western and Virginia cross each other. a point called Altamont. Not Altamont. Here's Roanoke. Blue Ridge Parkway is a do not air right now. Anyway, guys, I'm gonna end this because evidently nobody wants to chat.